Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thank you for watching the Daily Huddle Show, man. I'm sitting down. The reason why I'm sitting down is because I went to the F45 right early in the morning. This is where Mr. M is. Actually, he's probably finishing off and getting showered and stuff like that. So, but I decided to do it earlier, and oof, Jesus, man, guys, I am beat. I'm beat. Let me just see how the audio is. I'm gonna put on headphones. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. Oh boy. I'm beat up, man. I am. I swear to God, I'm beat up. Maybe I should try standing. You know what? I'm gonna do it. Oh damn. Oh, I'm going to first raise the bar. Oh damn. Oh, I'm an old man. Jesus, old. Oh. Thanks. Yes, the audio is good. Okay, yeah, I'll do this standing. It's much better. Ooh, boy. Yes, I got a rising desk and a stand, and so I could actually stand. Damn. Well, guys, honestly, you know, I was shocked to find out how few people have Bitcoin. People who know me, people who recognize me, right? They don't have any Bitcoin, right? When I spoke to Russell Peters, I went to Russell Peters Comedy Club, and I talked to him at the end. He has no Bitcoin, right? No Bitcoin. Man, you early, right? And you need to share this school, right? This free classes and stuff like that with people so that they can get into Bitcoin as well, right? Because man, they're missing out. This is going to be the asset of the future. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? I'm going to be saying, I told you so again. And yeah, you're going to miss it a second time. And then you're going to ask me, is it too late to buy? I'm going to say no. And then you're going to miss it a third time. Man, Jesus Christ. Okay. Jesus, man. Let's see here. Is there any questions here? Well, we'll get to the questions. CME gap, yes. The CME gap, okay, come on. Really? Really? Oh boy. Man, a lot of people here. Thank you guys coming watch the show. Oh my gosh. And no, I'm trying so hard to tell people to get into Bitcoin and just not listening. And you could try to get them to, get some Satoshis, right? Because, at least they can see that their growth is the growth of their portfolio in Satoshis, because nobody wants a 1/100 millionth of an apple. They want the whole apple. So there it is. Now they get a whole Bitcoin in Satoshis, right? Priced in Satoshis. I get a whole Satoshi. Okay. Let's move on. Let's have some fun. Oh, look at this. Portfolio down 70%. Mental health, unstable. Relationship, girlfriend, of course, yeah. Me at 2 a.m. when my portfolio is up 12%. Guys, links to all of this is in the description if you want to see. But Bitcoin, like I've been saying, it's going to eat everything. It's going to be the asset of the future. So what are you waiting for? Right? It's the Pac-Man of all fiat currencies. Right? Oh, let's go on to criminal behaving like criminals. Right? Once you get to the top, you get to be like the rest of the criminals at the top. Right? CZ pardon comes after costly Binance lobbying push in Washington. Right? CZ pardoned by Trump followed a lobby push that included, $500,000 to the Trump-linked lobbyists, another 300,000 to former SEC, and I'm sure a lot more that we don't even know about. So don't even go. Don't even think that didn't happen, right? For 1 second, guys. Don't. You are smoking weed. All right? Oh, Jesus. Man, I'm hurting, but I'm here. House is fine, but the door is jammed. AWS outage shows crypto's weak spot. Oh, crypto, not Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, it's fine, right? 15 hours of Amazon Web Service outage that halted Coinbase, Robinhood, and MetaMask revealed how much Web3 relies on centralized servers. So Web3 only includes what's it called? Smart contract applications. Whilst Bitcoin does not have smart contracts, so it's still fully operational whilst this was happening. Okay? Just so you know. Whilst your decentralized apps, some of them had problems, but not all of them, right? I mean, my servers, right, for TSATs was not on AWS, right? And so there you go. Okay, Bitcoin just hit its 200-day daily close above 100K. Yes, its 200 daily average is well higher. It's at $106,000 and slowly rising. This is a positive sign. You're seeing a divergence, heavy divergence with Bitcoin with all other cryptos. Right? Why? Because, Bitcoin is not just the first, but it's the most secure, right? Again, I've pointed this out many times to many people that decentralization is not yes, you are decentralized, no, you're not, right? Because according to the Federal Reserve is decentralized, and you could argue that it is decentralized, even though you'd probably be laughing at it. That argument. But the argument can be made. And so, yes, they have 13 member banks, and they all separately vote, right, on policy. Now, they happen to all vote the same way every single time, but it's decentralized. Damn. So yeah, that would be an example of not farther to the not so decentralized level. And Bitcoin would be the maximum decentralized we've ever seen. Right? That's it. Whilst everything else, all other cryptos are in between, right? The Federal Reserve to Bitcoin, right? So there you go. Okay. The U.S. government now holds 326,000 Bitcoin. Now, interesting enough, right? When I see this, right, I can't help but think, right? Some people think that the United States government, CIA, NSA, whatever, alphabet agency created Bitcoin. Let's pretend that they did. And let's pretend they strategically still own the 1 million Bitcoins that are out there. Does it matter? No. It just means that they're still the king when the dollar collapses, right? And then they recreate the order, the new financial order, and they just happen to have the most Bitcoin, right? But governments are governments. They don't know how to freaking not spend. So effectively, right, they could run out of money very, very fast, since this is the behavior that the government always lives off of. Now, of course, the elites know this too, and so they could change things, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Where have you been? How many times do I go on a tirade on this? I'm going to answer that question later on. Okay, I've already put a star beside it, dude. And that's it. Boom. Okay. Moving on. 5 billion in BTC shorts waiting to be liquidated at 116K. Oh, shame. Look at that. Boom. We're going to see a liquidation event somewhere at the 116K. Let's see what happens. Man, this guy, he just needs to just stay quiet, man. Just, Jim, don't say anything, right? Please, don't say anything. The market will explode if the interest rates go lower. Yeah, and see what happens. Everybody's like, oh no. No. Man, just not say anything. No one should be surprised if Bitcoin hits $700,000. Wow. Well, I'm not surprised if it does. I'm not surprised. Honestly. Right? I am thinking that when it hits 700,000, not sometime this year or next year, but whenever it does hit, will I be surprised? No. Not at all. Not at all. Right? When it hits 1 million, will I be surprised? No. Not at all. Not at all. When it hits 10 million, will I be surprised? Not one bit. Why? Because, why don't we find out the global cash. What is the global invested amount of money, including stocks and bonds and cash? Yeah, so we have, 300 trillion, right? Global invested money, right? 300 trillion. And all that money doesn't need to invest in jack stink all, right? Because the problem the reason why we invest, right, is because we're going to get killed by inflation. That's just the way it is, right? So we don't save dollars, right? We invest those dollars into other things, like into stock market. And then, at least the rich people do, people who have money, in order to keep up with inflation, right? I mean, the poor people, right, they just save in fiat money, right? That's why Michael Saylor says, people who save in fiat money, there's a name for them. We call them poor, right? So with that said, right, don't be poor. Buy Bitcoin. Buy assets, right? All righty. With that said, no one should be surprised, right, that when Bitcoin is the money, people will go, so let me get this straight. Let me think about this for a second. If I were to just save my wealth in Bitcoin, it would always increase in value because there's a fixed supply. And when people want to produce something to actually get me to spend that Bitcoin, it improves the lives of everyone and thus causes prices to go down, priced in Bitcoin. So logically, I don't have to invest anything. I could just save. You can see how the majority of money will only be stuck in Bitcoin. Boom. That means all those like Fidelity and financial companies that are doing like investments for people will disappear. Think about that for a second. They will disappear. Not right away, because, you know, the old guard, old people are still stuck on doing the things the old way. Right? There it is. Okay, speaking about criminal bankers, right? Just like Larry Fink is. Let's listen to what another criminal banker has to say.
Bitcoin, et cetera. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers,
like
anti-money laundering, tax avoidance.
Like him?
That is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have been built up over many years. Know your customers, sanctions, OFAC. They can get bypass all of that. If I was
like
the government, I'd close it down.
Yeah. So just so you know, right? He gets to do all that, whilst you don't. Just saying. Just saying. Right? Boom. Okay, Bitcoin is way more than what you expect it to be, right? Most of us look at it as price, freedom, adoption, users, right? But there's so much more, right? There's timestamping, right? What do you mean by timestamping? Let's just go out for few of these. Well, let's just say you wrote a book, right? And you want to ensure that you want to ensure that no one can say, hey, you know, you didn't write that book at that time. You didn't do that. Well, you could create what's called a hash of your book and place that into a Bitcoin record, right? With very little fees, and that becomes the timestamp. Right? I'm surprised no one has produced an application like that, right? Where you can actually timestamp the production of any kind of digital asset that you've produced. I wonder if somebody has actually done that, because I talked about that to many people, right? Way back, over 5 years ago, that this is also a possibility, right? Let's go on to let's see here. Open source. Well, obviously it's just, you know, security. Obviously, you know, it's secure. Lightning. This is just another protocol, right? Peer-to-peer keys. Here, let's talk about keys. Keys, right, are the future of basically identity. Will be the future of identity. You won't have one specific key, right, in the future of identity. And you won't be able to do that for the future. You won't be able to, because what happens is you lose your keys, because people lose their keys all the time. So with that said, right? With that said, keys are going to be used so that you can receive packages. So you can verify that you received something and ensure, and then that goes on the blockchain. This opens up a huge layer of future assets, future things that can be produced once everybody is using keys for their money, for their freedom. Then you'll know what's been done, not only in the not only with money, but also in the real world. Huge thing, right? All right, let's move on. If ever If everyone ever asks you to why Bitcoin is better than real estate, show them this. BTC is a league of their own. Yes, Bitcoin versus real estate. Bitcoin, accessibility, doesn't require significant capital. Real estate does require significant capital. Destruction can't be physically destroyed, can be bombed to nothing. Divisibility can be divided, whilst your house cannot be divided, right? Geography, the value isn't tied to a physical location. Yes. Value is tied to a physical location. Right? So, liquidity. High liquidity can be sold instantly, right? There you go. Whilst there's extremely low liquidity, right? And so much more, right? So it makes sense. Don't save your money in Bitcoin. Yeah, exactly. Well, wait a minute. Or maybe we should save it in Bitcoin. That's right, because real estate is a horrible asset. You can use it to actually make money. But, really, are you making more money with real estate when you have to cover taxes, maintenance, repair? It's a job, basically, real estate. If you're thinking about actually using Bitcoin, real estate to make money, it becomes a new job. Bitcoin is a way of just saving your wealth for the future. Think about that, right? For the first time ever, right? When we talked about this, so many in today's video, for the first time ever, you have an asset you could just save. And then in the future, you'll have more wealth. Once again, I want you to think about this for a second. You have an asset that you can save, and in the future, you're guaranteed more wealth, practically guaranteed. You're like, there's no guarantees and everything, because the only thing that could go wrong, and most likely to go wrong, actually, with Bitcoin, is you. You make a mistake. You. That is the Achilles heel, is you making a mistake with your own money. And so most people are afraid to actually take responsibility for their own money, so they want to give it away to somebody else to take responsibility. Once you do that, you're guaranteed there's a high probability, higher than you making a mistake, that they will take your money. That's it. So, if you head over to our school and learn how to not make mistakes with your money, with Bitcoin, you could actually be able to save for your future and not have to worry about it. That's the cool thing. Because we work so hard, people. We work so hard for this money that somebody else prints for free. For free. And then they take away all of our wealth by printing even more. So why live like that? Why? Buy Bitcoin. Save for the long term. Moving on.
We have successfully implemented
Pakistani Prime Minister
structural macroeconomic
urging
reforms, modernized and broadened our taxation system, intensified efforts to mobilize productive investment, and embraced digitization, AI, and crypto as the tools of the future. Strategic partnerships, including our all-weather cooperation with China through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor under President Xi Jinping's landmark Belt and Road Initiative, are contributors to our progress as I speak. We have successfully...
There we go. So, it's coming. Governments are adopting Bitcoin slowly, right? And we're going to see Bitcoin as a unit of account eventually. You get to buy it early. That's it. So with that said, moving on. Look at all these indicators that Bitcoin has topped. 30 of them. None of them are marked Bitcoin as topped out. Interesting. Digital gold rush. In 21 days, 95% of all Bitcoin would have been mined. Interesting. Of the remaining 5%, 4% will be mined by 2035. The year just so happens that the probability that the US government will still be around, will not collapse, drops significantly, right? Because at that point, at that specific point in time, the funny thing is that specific point in time, the US debt will be over $100 trillion, right? And it'd be absolutely ridiculous to say that, yeah, they can continue on like that. 100 trillion. Probably be more, because that's based on their current trajectory. And you know how the US is. Oh, we need to print more for this thing, or this thing happened, or that thing happened, or this happened. Yes. Yeah. It's coming. Right? It's coming. Whew, man. So, with that said, from then on, in 2140, everyone will be fighting for the last remaining 1%. Well, miners will be. But they won't be. It won't be mining, fighting over 1%. They'll be focusing on how to gain more from, transaction fees. And by 2035, I think they won't have to focus on that, actually, because people will be using it heavily, right? And then be fighting for getting on the block, right? And that's how it'll be used to move. The bigger money will move large amounts and pay the miners to continue to do so, right? The more you pay, the faster it is. Okay, this is last item for today, and then we'll go on to Q&A.
The countries that are adversarial. So I think it's pretty obvious that the countries that are adversarial to the U.S. will ultimately buy Bitcoin and potentially other coins, but I would say at least start with Bitcoin. And so I think there's going to be an arms race, right? And there'll be like Dr. Strangelove, strategic mineshaft gap, right? Like it's going to be a real race. And as you know, there's only 21 million. And if a bunch of people all want to buy 1 million each, it's not enough to go around, right? And there again, that's why I'm so bullish, because there's just not enough Bitcoins to satisfy countries' desires. I think the U.S. has 200,000 Bitcoins just, from confiscations, kind of a random.
And China has roughly the same, I think.
Yeah, and China has roughly the same. No, no problem seeing them wanting to buy 1 million Bitcoins. It's still tiny compared to their balance sheets, budgets, all that stuff. And so if you have 2, 3, 4, like say the GC wants to buy 1 million, China wants to buy 1 million, maybe Russia wants to buy some, US, like it's going to squeeze up like a watermelon seed.
Like a watermelon seed, yeah. I don't think they're going to let that squeeze up like any more than they would let, the US dollar collapse out, right? So they will, it will slowly and gradually, just like gold has done over time, increase in value, right? Because, if it does squeeze up like a watermelon seed, then the dollar would be done, right? And there it is, right? So with that said, let's go to my favorite question here of the day, right? Let me just see if there's any other ones. That's a good one. Let me just, I'll get back to that. Let me just see if there's any other questions. I don't know. Let me just answer that question. There's a good one. Okay. There's another good question I want to answer. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna buy TSATs. Yes, TSATs is just, Bitcoin. And if, for those who just don't know, right, are thinking, okay, well, Da Vinci, you were holding the Bitcoin for us? Fuck no. What do I want to go to jail? Then where are the Bitcoins, right? Well, if we head over, basically, if we, I realized I just changed the website a lot here. So if we head over the facts, what does TSAT, let's see here. How fast can I, I should have put it here. Okay, so anyways, I will put it back on the website because I remember I just removed it. If you head over to FRT15, right, .net, right? This is a smart contract, right, that stores all of the Bitcoin, which is using TBTC to back it up. The reason why I chose TBTC over WBTC or BTC is because it's not a trust me, bro, I got your Bitcoins system. It's no. It's a decentralized system that holds your Bitcoins, right? So what does that mean? That means that it doesn't matter, right? If you don't need to KYC in order to get Bitcoin. So for example, if I were to back it up with WBTC, this is what would happen to you if you tried to get Bitcoins from BitGo. They go, who are you exactly? And where did you get that WBTC? You're gonna have to explain a lot. Oh, let me hold that WBTC for a second whilst you explain. Oh, it's gonna take a few months for you to explain where you got that money. And then we'll give you an actual Bitcoin. Since I don't want you to go through all that. Now, of course, some people can handle that, right? Of course, if you got multi-million dollars, right? Sure, I can handle that, right? But the average person can't, right? So, with that said, you have this application. Now, you're saying, but that's just a website. I understand your confusion, right? I understand that, right? It is true. It is a website, but this website, right, is open source, right? So if we head over to the About page, you can actually download the whole website and run it on your own, right? I think the open source, let's see here. Where is the, I need to redo this whole web page, but I don't have time to do that because it's just like, I wrote this thing myself, right? The whole thing. But anyways, there's a open source, right? Let's see, GitHub, there it is. Everything's open source, right? So there's the contract, right? Smart contract that holds it, right? So it's on a smart contract, which is a decentralized system. And this interfaces, the website interfaces with the smart contract. So you could download, so if I got hit by lightning, right, and I died, it's not like your Bitcoins are gone. Your TSATs are not backed up by Bitcoin, right? That's not the case. You could download, if the website stops working, you could download the whole website, run this on your local website server, and then actually do that. You could actually do it. I actually have it running locally. It's just, I can't show it to you on this computer because you have to be on a different computer in order to actually connect to my local servers, right? This computer is isolated just in case, because I have to have several sets of isolations to protect myself from hackers and stuff like that. So I'm always careful that way. And this computer is separately isolated from my local network, which actually provides my development network that actually has a copy of this application running. And it just communicates with the smart contract that's located on Solana. That's it. So you can always should you need to convert your TSATs to Bitcoin, you can do so to TBTC and then BTC to actual Bitcoin without anyone telling you, who are you again? All right, so that's the advantage of that. Okay. Okay, I have to do, okay, let's see here. No. We've gone over this many times, right? We've gone over this many, many times. It is not a threat to Bitcoin if you use it properly. If you use it improperly, it is. So what's the proper way to use Bitcoin? Well, you just need to go to the school and I will explain it to you, right? There is a proper way to use Bitcoin and an improper way to use Bitcoin, right? The improper way, I'll give you a short answer to that, is simply using an address over and over again. Don't do that. It was never designed for you to use an address over and over again. You have to use a new address every single time, right? Once you do that, it's quantum resistant. Now, this is why Trezor can have the balls, this is the kahunas, to come out and say, we've got a quantum resistant hardware wallet now. Because Bitcoin was always quantum resistant, right? There's just the hardware wallet probably enforces the rules that you need to follow in order to be quantum resistant. Simple as that. In fact, right, most hardware wallets, with like for example Trezor, doesn't like to give you access to the address once you've used it once. You can still do it. It just doesn't like to do it for you because you're not supposed to use that same address over and over again. Okay. Bitcoin will stop mining in 140 years. I'll just leave it to my kids. What? No. Okay, mining will continue after 140 years. Mining collects fees, right? So mining will always continue, even when there's like very little or no Bitcoin to be mined, right? That's how it works, right? So the more people that use it, right, the more the miners will get based on the fact that, well, they're getting transaction fees. And transaction fees will be a lot higher, right, when it's $1 million. So, for example, right, let's take a look. Blocks created for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at something that actually shows us a mempool. Yeah. Let's take a look at the last block. Oops. That was created. Let's just look at the fees. Total fees is $3,000, right? Right. So, if the fees remain the same, right, and Bitcoin goes up 10x, right, that means it's $30,000, right? Just 10x, right? And you're like, well, wait a second here. It's still not anywhere close to this, right? Right? That's true. That's true. But Bitcoin will probably go up 100x from here. Probably even more. Probably even more. So then it becomes $300,000, right? And the funny thing, right, is that this small amount, let's pretend that this is the normal amount, right? Because like there's different amounts all the time, right? So there's different amounts all the time, but let's just say because it's probably going to be a lot more than that. It's probably going to be a lot more than that. But let's just say that that's the number, right? Bitcoin's value, the value of what Bitcoin will be will be significantly higher beyond what you actually can conceive. Why? Because if the majority of people, which is the average person, you and me, tired of investing, tired of like gambling their money away, right? And just want to save, the majority of people that can just save will cause the price of Bitcoin the value of Bitcoin to actually increase at an exponential rate constantly, right? You could say, well, how could it grow constantly? Well, as long as the human beings continue to grow, number of human beings continue to grow. Now, there's the case, there's the rub. If the number of the population drops, Bitcoin, in the future when we're all using it as money, if the population drops, and assuming that they pass those Bitcoins on to other people, then, of course, the value would drop as well, right? Because money, it depends on people, right? And the value of that money depends on people. And if you don't think so, how much think about anything you use as money and tell me how much is it worth when you're on an island by yourself? You see, like a blind man now. That's right, a blind man can't see. Well, hopefully you get it. Okay. I want to be broke. I want to be broke to rich like you. Why did I have to be a kid when you posted Bitcoin? Posted about Bitcoin. Well, I don't know why. You were just born that way, born at that time. Now that you're here, what are you doing? I really, really hope that you are buying some Satoshis. You're still buying. And don't worry about it because it takes time. Here's the thing. Whether you create a business or you work and save, right? Both of those actions, work and save with Bitcoin, of course, both of those actions take time for you to become wealthy. And when you become wealthy with Bitcoin, the problem, you have another problem, is because you didn't learn what you need to do in order to actually manage that wealth, you might end up losing it. Okay, so be careful, right? So when you do get wealthy, right, don't start buying cars and all kinds of crazy stuff. If all the Bitcoin has been mined, and if all miners shut down their nodes, what happens to the Bitcoin network? Will it be secured? No. Yeah. Once again, I'm going to go back over the mining. That's not going to happen. Mining will continue forever, right? Once again, right? Just like what I was saying. Even if the fees are just this low, because the value of a Bitcoin will be significantly higher, right? Because you won't be that you can say, well, I'm comparing look at the housing prices, man. It's just crazy. Well, a house is only overpriced because someone printed money to buy it. And because you don't have the ability to print money to buy it, right? You can't buy it. Now, if the printing press shuts down, right? What's the real value of a house? That's right. What somebody can save, and pay for it. Boom. So there you have it. Money, Bitcoin, which is going to be money, will be worth more. Way more. All right. Thanks for watching. Mr. M just got in, but why don't you say hi to everybody quickly? And because we're going to end the show. Mr. M's saying hi.
Hello.
Good to see you too.
Good.
All right. Let's go over. Make sure you guys subscribe to Mr. M.
All right. Thank you. I have a bunch of episodes I've been working last night on. So new content soon. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I know. You're always working on different content. Make sure you subscribe to Mr. M.
25K.
Yeah, we got over 25K. Man, your subscribers are now finally moving fast.
Yeah, it's going really well.
I mean, wow. Just over the weekend, you got over 25K and got like
Another 100 on top.
100 on top. So I mean, this is movement.
Yeah, I'm happy as well. And I have so many good things lined up. Of course, all the Amsterdam Bitcoin conference shenanigans. There's going to be so many interviews. So, plus we have a Maybach to do, me and you.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. Well, that's it for today. I hope you learned something together, right, guys? I hope you learned to buy Bitcoin for the future. Don't you think it's the best asset for your future wealth?
Yeah, the best there is.
What do you think, though?
Let me think. Oh, we have a course where we explain what
That's right.
If only there was a course, me and Da Vinci explains you why it's the best asset.
I think there is a course somewhere.
Yeah, I think it might be up there somewhere.
Yeah, or the link in the description below. All right. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Cheers.